So thank you for joining us for our workshop today, where we're going to talk you through some techniques on how you can thrive online in 2023. My name is John Redman. I'm the founder and CEO of Bosco, and I'm going to be talking you through some ideas and proven frameworks that we've got that we know will help you in the coming year. So we're all seeing increasing CPCs, reduced ROAS, or increasing costs of sale, and this is a problem across the whole industry. Black Friday was great for a lot of our clients. However, that was at a cost, and that cost was with the platforms such as Google, Facebook, Amazon, etc. So we're hopefully going to give you some things today, immediate takeaways. We're actually going to give you 3 actions you could take tomorrow that would reduce your media costs and increase performance, which you can actually action immediately tomorrow. And what we're also going to be doing is, on top of all of this, we've also got this global doom and gloom around a recession that we're heading into. So online sales aren't going to go away, but I think they're going to be a lot harder to come by in 2023. And as professional retailers and marketeers, there's over 100 of you online now. So thank you very much for joining us. If you want to ask a question, please just ask the question in the chat or in the Q&A. We've got Abby, who's sitting backstage, who can help queue up those questions. So if you want to join in the discussion and ask any questions, just fire those into either the chat or the Q&A. Maybe share now, if you wish, where you're joining us from, the company, the retailer, or whereabouts in the world. But the main things we're going to be talking about and showing you today is how you can reduce your media cost, which are the right KPIs you should be measuring, and ultimately how to make more revenue and more sales. And at the same time, how can we do that in an efficient and effective manner to help you save time? So it's probably worth me introducing myself and why am I authorized to talk about this. So I'm John Redman. I've been in this industry for 25 years, and I've been working in marketing, technology, and digital agency space, supporting brands and retailers to scale on and offline. As you can see, some of the brands I've had the pleasure of working with there. But more so recently, I've been asked by several of the media outlets, including the BBC, to act as their retail expert. So I've been sharing my thoughts and opinions, and I'd like to share those with you today. So where we want to kick off, we're going to get quite practical, and we're going to go back to the good old-fashioned flip chart, and I'm going to run you through the 4 C's of ROAS and the problems that I think we're all trying to face and how we're doing that. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're just going to focus on the flip chart and get a bit like Blue Peter. So let me find the right pen. So what we've got, if we talk about the 4 C's of ROAS. Okay, so we've all got, and we want to improve our return on ad spend. And we're all advertising in multiple channels with multiple different KPIs. But the most important thing, and one of the hardest things that we need to do, is actually connect all our data together. So, and we'll go through what that actually means in a second. Then once we've got all our data connected, we then need to consolidate it. And ultimately organize it all into a simple to use, easy to understand dashboard or place where you can share with your teams and your colleagues to help you make better decisions. Then what we want to understand is what are the criteria we are measuring our consolidated, connected data on. Ultimately, KPI, but KPI wasn't a C, so it didn't work for my 4 C's of ROAS. And then what we want to do is focus on conversion. So ultimately, if we start focusing on the connect, we're going to talk through connect, consolidate, criteria, KPIs, and conversion. So we're going to look at connect first, and then get into how can we do that and what you're probably currently doing. So if we looked at connecting your data, you've got all your different channels. So you've got GA, you've then got Google Ads, You've then got Facebook, you probably want to measure your SEO in Search Console. You might have Amazon, you might have TikTok, you might have affiliates, and the list goes on and on and on. We've got people we've worked with who've got 16, 17 different channels where they're spending money. And then what we need to try and do, and one of the biggest headaches we find people have, is you're getting different reports from all these different channels in different ways, and maybe you're consolidating these in some sort of spreadsheet. Or maybe you've got a bit fancy and you've got some sort of connector that's linking up to a Tableau or a Power BI. So you've got some sort of business intelligence database that's pulling it in, but this still is taking up a huge amount of time and a huge amount of effort, and there's a potential for human error, and trying to understand all this different sort of data integration and data cleaning is hard and is complex. So having all of this consolidated to get everything into the right columns in the right way is really tricky and really hard. And I think now what we've been seeing, because Google, particularly since Performance Max, and Facebook since the iOS 14, they're almost like their own little black boxes. And what we need to try and do is take the data out of these black boxes to make some sense of it, so we can start trying to make better decisions. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges we face, is actually connecting all this data. Sounds really simple, but actually it's a harder task. And there might be different third-party tools that you use, such as Funnel or Supermetrics, that's pulling all of this into some sort of data studio or Tableau. But that's probably what the good advanced people are doing. But a lot of us are still just using spreadsheets, maybe from our agency or some online reporting tool that we've got with our agency or our in-house team. So once we've got all the data consolidated and connected, we need to understand ultimately what's the right criteria we should be measuring performance on, so ultimately the KPIs. And I think, and we're going to get sort of into this in a bit, but understanding which click wins and also what are the key KPIs for each individual channel can be really difficult to understand. And then educating the broader business on this is even harder. So the one I think most people often forget or ignore is, what is the conversion rate, and what is and who owns that conversion rate number. I think we've all got obsessed with traffic and volume going in at the top of the funnel, and we're neglecting the conversion rate. And we might be focused on the conversion rate from, say, the homepage, but we're not necessarily obsessed at the category page or the product page. And I think that's one vital thing that is hugely overlooked, is your conversion rate. What does good look like? And also your KPIs versus your peers. So everybody on the call today will all have different conversion rates. If you're good, you could be sort of 2%. If you're really good, you might be 3%. If you're average, you might be 1.5%. But it's understanding where you are and what does good look like. And then that will be different based on the different channel and the different data. But again, then consolidating all of that into one place is really, really hard. And then that sort of leads on to, well, how do we then increase conversion? So, and ultimately, that's really what we want to try and sort of talk through and help you with today, and walk through how does this all fit together and work. So it's really sounds simple, the 4 C's, but actually it's really hard, and we don't see many retailers who've really sort of nailed this on. And there's lots of different ways you can do this with multiple people, spreadsheets and extracts, but having this at your fingertips could be really, really helpful. So that's the 4 C's of ROAS. That's trademarked, so don't go pinching that. But we'll share the slides and the recording afterwards. And if anybody's got any questions on that, we can pick that up later on, and feel free to sort of join in the chat and ask any questions you've got. So I'm going to share my screen now and sort of highlight what the other challenges we think you may be facing. So it's ultimately getting into attribution. So which clicks, if we're talking about our conversion, is it, you'll have all had and seen in analytics these wonderful dashboards and reports that look something like this. So is it the first click that we should give some attribution to? Is it the last non-direct click? And this, as digital marketing professionals and e-commerce retailers, we can sort of understand. But then trying to explain to the senior management or the leadership of the company why this is a good idea, that actually we need to be spending more money up the funnel. Because I think one thing we've seen with a lot of retailers over the last 2 or 3 years, we've all got obsessed with fighting over the bottom of the funnel and competing really aggressively on the Google shopping, where there's that immediate demand. However, wouldn't it be great if we knew people were already just coming straight to your brand because they were already aware? But then how do we measure that? So understanding which clicks wins is really complicated and really hard, but also it's a sort of leadership and management challenge to educate the wider business. And I think COVID's probably helped because people now understand the importance of e-commerce more and more, but I also think it's still a huge challenge. So going forward into 2023, it's forecasted that more than 2/3 of all ad spend, so that's TV, that's billboards, that's everything, is going to be online. And I suppose, where does online with TV stop and start? And that's a whole other topic now, because you can buy digital TV in the same way that you can buy clicks on Google Shopping. And what's still quite scary is 75% of most online retailers' budget is going on Facebook and Google. So are Google basically taking too much of the pie, and how do we do something about that? And then there used to be an old Ogilvy saying that 50% of your marketing budget is wasted. You just don't know which 50%. We actually think in digital now, it's about 25% of your money is wasted. And programs like PMax could be incentivized to hit your target, potentially waste inventory. We're trying to do loads of tests and research to see what's going on in that Google black box, and actually having a bit more control. Is that potentially better? And you can be the sort of judge on that. It'd be interesting if you've got any comments or questions on what your view on sort of PMax is or isn't. But all right, so if someone's asked a question about conversion rate, what steps we could take to improve conversion rate, well, we'll come back to that, and I'll answer that one live in the Q&A at the end. But if you've got any more questions, just fire those in. So yeah, so we think about 25% of your media is getting wasted on ineffective techniques, and it's just trying to identify where that is. And sometimes I think, as digital marketers and e-commerce retailers, we can feel like we're gambling a little bit with our media budgets. And it's like, well, I know that I keep putting money in that Google machine, I keep pulling the handle and more money keeps coming out. So we just keep rinsing and repeating. And I think what's happening is, because more and more people are doing that, Google's the winner. And we're seeing our return on ad spend decrease, our cost of sales going up, and our margins are also getting squeezed, and our consumers have got less money in their pocket. So I suppose the question we're trying to help people, and ultimately where you need to think about, is where should you invest your next pound, dollar, euro? Where exactly should you be placing your bets if you were in that slot machine and that casino? And it's really tricky, as we talked about. You've got too much data to go at, and it's probably not organized in a sensible fashion for you to actually be able to interpret that. Your marketing is getting more and more complicated. New channels, TikTok, Snapchat, all coming out. How do we then go and attribute a budget to those? And it's becoming more and more costly. And we've also got a lack of sort of detailed channel attribution, so understanding the breakdown. And this takes a lot of time and is hard to calculate. And actually, well, Google's sort of working, we'll just keep spending more money with Google. But I do think, going back to that person's point before about conversion rate, if there's one metric you should spend some time and effort on focusing on, it is that conversion rate optimization. Because if you could improve your conversion rate from 1.5 to 3, you're going to double your sales. And that might be an easier thing to do than you think. And it also will require you spending less money with Google. So this is exactly why we built Bosco. And what Bosco is the digital marketing intelligence platform. So we built Bosco to try and help people who've got the problems we've just been talking about. And I'm going to run you through quickly how it sort of works. And then at the end, we've got time for some Q&A, and I've got then the 3 tactics that are not necessarily connected to Bosco, just connected to digital marketing, that we will share with you, that you could action and take away from today. So Bosco automatically can enable you to connect all your different data sources. And that's from everything. There's hundreds and hundreds of different data connectors that we've built to enable you at the push of a button to connect all your different data sources into our sort of unified dashboard. And then this consolidates everything into a sensible, organized, structured dashboard, which you can then share between your teams. You could then analyze and drill down in, so you could see all the different channels which are then within Bosco. So you've got all the things you possibly have. We could even include offline channels. So if you've got catalogs or stores, we could also pull that data in and give you everything in one place. And we have clients who are using this in their trading meetings and in their all their different slides for their board reports, because this is becoming the trusted source of truth. And then within this separate reports, you can see we've got this is the high-level executive summary, but then each individual team could have a separate report for their paid search, their display, their paid social, their SEO, their affiliates. We've got a specific Amazon connector and a unique Amazon report that we've actually built recently and just about to launch. And then we can get into the sort of conversion rate optimization and understanding, well, which page within your website offers you the most potential. So everybody sort of starts at the homepage or on the latest product they've just launched, but actually, what's the data telling us about where and which page offers you the greatest potential? So if we were to go into then, so what Bosco's then doing, and if we talked about improving conversion, improving sales, Bosco's got all your data. And then I thought, well, how do we know where to invest our money? And I challenged some former colleagues of mine who are double PhD data scientists and been working in marketing technology for many years to answer the question of, well, where should we spend our next pound, dollar, or euro? And what we wanted to do was build a system that not only told you what had happened, so what we're looking at here is revenue versus cost to date for the year. And this is an example client. It's actually based, EW stands for Eco Wax Melts. It's my 13-year-old daughter's Etsy business. She isn't turning over £3-4 million. Otherwise, we might not need to build Bosco. But what it actually does here, in terms of give you an example of data, lots of systems are excellent at telling you what has happened. What we wanted to do was tell you what was going to happen next. And then we've got a chance to challenge that or change the future. So what Bosco can do using its complex algorithms and machine learning is actually forecast what's going to happen next. And so it uses all your own first-party data with all your own existing tracking. So there's no need for new tracking or new pixels. It basically uses all your existing tracking, consolidates everything into one place. So you've got your dashboard. And then what we've got is we can then forecast the future. And this is then sort of at a top line level. But then what we do is get a lot more granular. So in this particular example, Bosco is recommending we push a little bit harder on Amazon. We pull back a little bit on Bing, and we pull back a little bit on Google Ads. And if you had 15 channels connected, it would give you those channel distributions and recommendations at a channel level, but also at an individual campaign level. And you can see on the chart below where Bosco has been sort of recommending and what's actually been happening of the algorithm versus the actuals. So it's hugely accurate based on the data for this particular client. And it's in certain scenarios suggesting we've left a bit of money on the table. And then what you can actually do if you were the agency or if you were the practitioner making the changes, you can download the recommended budgets, impressions, and what you should actually change at each campaign level. So this isn't just a go spend more money in Google. This is also, this particular campaign in Google could get you more money if you change the budget to this, because we believe there's some headroom based on what's going on in the market, based on your product, based on your historical data and seasonality. This is what we think you should do next. So it gives you some serious, useful, actionable things on a daily basis. And you can actually go through here and you can see you can get recommendations for the rest of this week or the rest of this month or next week or next month. But that you might want to maybe change your budget, and you might want to do some sort of what we would call, say, scenario planning. You might say, well, what could I do about next month? What if I had a little bit more money? And how could I change that going forward? So I want to get, say, maximum revenue. And from there, I might want to increase my budget from, say, £20,000 a month to £24,000 a month. So first of all, can I actually spend that? Is there enough demand? And how would you allocate that money across my campaigns in order to get me maximum revenue? And then what Bosco will do, it will go away, create you a specific plan based on your individual campaigns, and then spit out the spreadsheet for your team or your agency to go and execute on. Ooh. And then what you can do within those, compare different plans. So you can say, well, how's this plan compared to that plan? And what could we do about what? And then so if you're trying to get additional budget, or if you're trying to prove where to spend the additional budget, there's no need now necessarily to go, oh, we're just going to take a test budget and we're going to spend 20 grand here and see what happens. We could run the scenario and then predict what we believe is going to happen. And we've got some case studies and clients where the predictions have been in excess of 95%. So Bosco, we said Bosco planned out the whole month of May for a particular client before and said, spend your money in this way, and this is what we believe is going to happen. And that's been accurate to 96%. We also we talked about where do you measure against your peers? So what we've been doing since we started building Bosco 2 and a bit years ago is we've been trying to organize, some of you will remember Hitwise. We've been trying to sort of, and Hitwise has had a demise, and everybody loves a number to benchmark themselves. So within the Bosco platform is also the Bosco index, and you can benchmark yourself against your peers, and you can actually select which peers you wish to be benchmarked against. So you can see, right, these are actually my competitors, and I want to see my online visibility versus the market versus my peers. And then it will give you a number, and you can come back and see, well, how are we trending versus the market? And then we can use that over time to give you even more insights. So that's Bosco in a summary. I just wanted to sort of give you some real examples of how this has worked for live clients who've been testing Bosco for a few months with us. So Castor, which is the sports brand, they sponsor and support people like Newcastle United and Rangers and McLaren Formula One. They were the client who took Bosco and actually used Bosco to predict all their spend in Facebook and Google in May. We managed to increase their ROAS by 17% in May, but also hit all their targets. And now we're using Bosco to forecast all their business as usual media across all their channels. And Bosco enabled them. We were still providing them updated forecasts day by day through the whole week of Black Friday week. And they were making changes based on the recommendations to drive performance. And they ended up having a record month in November. And then Jones the Bootmaker, who've been working with us on testing Bosco for a long time, they also had a record Black Friday and used a lot of the Bosco recommendations. And actually, they have an online trading meeting on a Monday where they go through what the Bosco recommendations are. How does that compare to what stock they've got? And how do they want to actually implement or not implement the recommendations? This isn't a fully automated platform. What Bosco does is it enables you to make better decisions. And that's fundamentally what we're trying to do. And in this scenario for Jones, it's used by their agency and their in-house team together, and it saves them hours and hours combined as a team on reporting. And we also help agencies, so Search Laboratory, a big agency in Leeds who's recently been bought by Havas. They use Bosco across all their retail clients, and it also helps their clients save a huge amount of time on reporting and forecasting, but also means that they can then focus on the strategy and the actual activation work for their clients rather than crunching out the numbers. So again, this is a platform that we provide for many, many agencies in the UK, the US, and Australia. So the three key takeaways, these badges, by the way, this is G2. G2 is a sort of like the trip advisor for software. And I think we've got a score of 4.9 out of 5, and we were recognised as a leader in this summer, and they've ranked us as our users love us. And we thought we'd share that there. But these are sort of 3 non-Bosco related takeaways that if you wanted to improve things tomorrow in e-commerce, I'd recommend that you do. So Google CSS. I still see mega brands spending millions a month on Google Shopping who still aren't doing Google CSS. I'll explain what it is on the next slide, but fundamentally, due to an EU legislation ruling, Google, if you sign up with a CSS partner, we can recommend, we work with 2 or 3 different ones. We've got one preferred one, and I'll share my email, and you can email me and I can introduce you, and you will just get a discount on your Google Shopping. So if you're not doing that, there is no reason why you shouldn't do it. It's purely a discount based on legislation, but tons of people are still just going direct into the Google auction rather than getting the discount code from a Google CSS partner. The other one is click fraud. There's tons and tons of bot and fake traffic out there just clicking your ads. And we've done test upon test to prove this. We also have a couple of different protection bits of kit that we could recommend. We can happily just introduce you. But again, that's something that can reduce your cost and keep your sales at the same level. And depending on how big your budget is, it will depend on how much the cost will then reduce. And then another channel we see is, I think affiliates used to get a really bad name, and it was all discount codes, cashback, and people just didn't trust affiliates. And if a well-run affiliate campaign should be delivering between 10 and 20% of your site-wide revenue. And that could be in closed platforms, that could be in promoted content. It doesn't have to all be around giving cashback and discount codes. And I think investigating where affiliates fits in and how it can drive revenue. And again, you only pay affiliates if you're getting the sales. And then again, managing that properly, accounting for your returns and challenging the payments and being on top of it, it should add money to your bottom line straight away. So there are 3 things I would recommend you could do next week that would make a big difference. If you want to find out more about any of those 3 things, feel free to email me. It's just john@askbosco.com. We're partners with a couple of these people, and we'll happily just introduce you. We don't do CSS or click fraud, but we can introduce you to people who do. But this is the CSS thing I was talking about. So Sigma Sport is actually one of our clients. We introduced them to the guys there, and that's all that is different. But you can see there, Planet X and Specialized are paying between 10 and 20% more for their clicks than the other guys. So it's a really simple no-brainer if you're not doing it. So we wanted to thank you all for coming on the call today and wanted to give you a one-time offer if you want to just test Bosco. We're not asking you to buy it. We're asking you just to connect and demo it and test it. So, because I think the proof's in the pudding, it'd be nice to see your own data in our platform. So what we're saying is if you connect a book and book in a demo for December or January, and we will also give you a free conversion rate optimization report. And this is the reason why I didn't answer that question before, is because we can actually go through the data and show you how and where you could improve your conversion rate. And it would normally involve some level of testing, but what we can do is identify with you the pages that need optimizing that are going to give you the biggest return, and maybe some ideas of how you could go about doing that. So for the first 10 people, so 10 people who go and connect onto a demo, so you could scan that QR code now, do it on your mobile phone, or you could just go to askbosco.io/demo. And that will take you to this page where you can just literally click the book a demo link. That'll book a demo in our diary. We'll send you a link on how to connect your data. And then you can see a version of what we've shown you with all your data in. And then you could see the recommendations, how much money you could save, how much money more you could make within each channel and each campaign. And then you could sort of take a view on, yes, that's useful, that's going to save us time. So yeah, if you scan that QR code, or go on to askbosco.io/demo. So if you could do that now, you can get me. And we've only got 10 of these because the CRO report takes somebody quite a lot of time to produce. So we can't just give those out to everybody. There's over 100 people on the call. So make sure you jump on that if you want to get a connected demo for your business. So that will take you through to this form, and you can just book in a time between now and the end of January. So that's Bosco. That's how we help you with your 4 C's of ROAS. So we help you connect, we help you consolidate, we help you find the right criteria for your KPIs, and we can help you improve your conversion. And I'm happy to take a few more questions if anybody's got any other questions or wants to ask any other questions. One other question we've had is, can you connect direct to our platform data? And the answer to that, the question was on Shopify. Yes, we've got a direct connection to all the different platforms such as Shopify, BigCommerce, and we actually partner with those guys as well. So we can pull in your platform data and then, I suppose, spot the anomalies between the platform data and maybe GA. And also the other one around that is understanding different reports between Facebook and GA and matching back and working out what's happening there. So again, if you'd like to get the demo, go to askbosco.io/demo. Thank you for joining us. That's about 30 minutes, so I'm ahead of time, which is excellent. So you get some of your time back, unless anybody's got any more questions. Oh, there's some more questions. Hang on, I've missed them. Let me just find those. How long does it take to connect, and how can I trust the data? Well, they're 2 very good questions. So we built Bosco in a way that basically means you don't need to speak to development to get things going and get things connected. So it uses all your existing tracking, and you simply add the Bosco. You fill in a simple form on the Bosco website after you've requested your demo. Bosco comes and talks to your platforms. You can let Bosco in. Once you've got that data in, Bosco will then connect, consolidate, and clean all that data up, and then present you back with your KPIs and your dashboard. And that normally takes about 10 minutes to fill out the form, and then it takes us about 48 hours with the Bosco machine to crunch all that data. And we actually go back 2 years if we've got 2 years worth of data, because that gives us the best look back window to predict the future. And ultimately, I suppose, around the how can I trust the data, it's actually it's your data. I suppose the question is, how can you trust the algorithm? And actually what we can do is we can go back and predict what would have happened in a month where we didn't know what would happen, if that makes sense. We can go back in time and take the sales out and say, right, what we think is going to happen in August, and predict that month as if we were back in July. And then you can get some confidence in the algorithm and the numbers and the data. But also we could introduce you to customers who've already done this and who are doing this on a regular basis. Another question that's just come in is, how long until I start seeing improvements? So you should see improvements straight away. And Bosco, from an ROI point of view, will save you time straight away, but it'll also start delivering results almost immediately if you take the recommendations. It's like anything. It's if you go to the gym and see the fitness instructor and take the advice, you're going to get fit. And this is exactly the same. It's an ongoing iterative process. So the more data you've had in Bosco for longer, the better and more accurate the results will start becoming, and you'll learn how to work with Bosco to get the best out of the platform. So we've got some more questions here. We've got one from Nick from Fram, who make wonderful jackets. If you're in the market for a fantastic jacket, you need to go to Fram, F-R-A-H-M, and buy one of his amazing jackets. And he's talking about affiliates. So if you are looking at an affiliate, absolutely, if a well-run affiliate campaign, you can control exactly the messaging, where it's been placed, what the offer is or what the offer isn't, and you can approve at every stage of the process. In the past, you used to have people on secondary sites, say, who would take an offer from an affiliate and then just spam it everywhere. A well-run affiliate campaign will stop that happening. And yeah, and I'd suggest for somebody like yourself, Nick, it would be things like employee benefit schemes or the blue light card. So closed platforms groups where you can offer those particular people a better offer or a deal. It might not necessarily be a discount, it could be an extra, but you're controlling the environment where your offers go rather than it just being a 10% off site-wide code that appears on a voucher site. So absolutely, you can do that. So that answers the affiliate question. And then does the forecasting? Yes, so we do absolutely factor in seasonality. So, and it also it's seasonality based on your business. So if you're a holiday business, you might not have a peak around Black Friday, but if you're a retail business, you absolutely will. So Bosco does take into effect historical seasonality, but also future demand. So absolutely, we can factor in that and help with the planning on that. Because changes and peaks and troughs occur, as we'll see over Christmas and January as well for our retail clients. And also depending on what they're selling, we'll see different spikes for, say, electrical retailers versus, say, furniture or fashion. So last chance for any questions. And then if you want to go and get the connected demo now, you'll get the free CRO report. So if you want to do that, the link's there, or I'll put the QR code back up and you can just scan that on your phone there. And that will take you straight to booking a demo with us. And we'd love to show you how Bosco could help your business connect, consolidate, and ultimately improve your conversion rate for your KPIs. So thank you very much for attending. We'll send a copy of the recording and the slides, and hopefully we'll be talking a little bit more if you'd like to have a Bosco demo.